From punching fans on the roadside to headbutting rivals mid-race. This is what happens when pro cyclists lose control. Stress, adrenaline and ego all packed into flying at 50 kilometers per hour. 2 centimeters of rubber and 0 room for mistakes. One shove starts a pileup. One insult turns into a roadside fistfight.
Opa, que é isto? Que é isto?
And sometimes, one bad decision can change a career forever. These are the moments when composure snaps, sportsmanship dies, and everything just explodes. And sometimes, the explosion comes with a front wheel in your hand. But before we get to the explosion at the finish line, cycling is a sport for margins. You're dodging crashes at 50 kilometers per hour, elbow to elbow with guys running on caffeine, pride and pure ego. Anything can happen, and that's where our 2 stars come in. Tour de France 2010, Carlos Bedo versus Rui Costa. Firstly, we have Carlos Bedo, or as I like to call him, the hot-headed Spaniard who is constantly 1 espresso away from snapping. And then there's Rui Costa, calm on the outside, but apparently riding like a menace. Elbows out, cutting lines and playing dirty. According to Bedo, Costa had been chopping lines, leaning in with elbows and crowding riders to gain an advantage in pace over other cyclists. And Bedo didn't like this. Fast forward to the finish, Rui Costa crosses the line first. He's all smiles, the job is done, and that should have been the end, right? Well, wrong. Because unexpectedly, this happens.
Sorry to miss this. A light welterweight fight between Spain's Carlos the lycra-clad killer Bedo and the Portuguese counterpuncher Rui Costa. Supposedly, this is a continuation of a fight that started on the road.
Carlos Bedo, visibly furious, marches straight up to Costa with a front wheel in his hand and basically swings it like a baseball bat. It was a move straight out of a WWE arena, and Costa wasn't about to let it slide. Immediately, Costa swung back, and just like that, all hell broke loose. It was raw, it was messy, but best of all, it was chaotic. Thankfully, the team staff were able to keep the casualties to a minimum. But let's be real, this wasn't your average cycling beef. This was, I carried a wheel 200 meters just to assault a guy level petty. But at least, Carlos Bedo waited until the finish line to explode. The next 2 didn't even make it to the finish. Number 2, Janluca Brami versus Ivan Rovny, Vuelta a España 2014. So here's a question. Have you ever seen 2 cyclists throwing actual punches at 40 kilometers per hour while still pedaling? Because in stage 16 of the Vuelta, Brami and Rovny did exactly that. They were sitting at the front of a 13-man breakaway, everything looking smooth until it wasn't. Brami was apparently upset with Rovny for not pulling his weight in the breakaway. He believed Rovny wasn't contributing enough to the pace setting. So, within a split second, things quickly spiraled from a pace-making race to this. In the blink of an eye, fists start flying between Janluca and Rovny as they exchange punches and elbows without dismounting their bikes. But that was not the craziest part, because soon after, they just kept going as if nothing happened. It's as if they didn't just try to uppercut each other on live TV. But even if they forgot, their commissaries didn't. So, a few kilometers later, the UCI car pulls up alongside them, leans out, and calmly informs them that they've been disqualified.
Commissaire comes up and says, "You, my friend, may as well get into the car. It's job over." My goodness.
It was a moment of head loss for both riders, something they'd likely want to forget anytime soon. But sorry boys, this one lives rent-free in every cycling meltdown highlight reel of all time. Punching at 40 kilometers per hour is one thing, but fighting on a vertical slope is a different kind of madness. Number 3, Vuelta a España 1995, Leonardo Serra versus Ramon González Arrieta. A full-blown fistfight halfway up a mountain. Some fights break out at the finish line, some during a sprint, but this one, it happened halfway up a brutal climb. Stage 17 of the Vuelta isn't just hard, it's where altitude breaks riders before the race even does. And somewhere in the middle of all that pain, Serra and González Arrieta lost their heads entirely. With the race getting insanely frustrating, somewhere deep into the climb, it went from racing to rage. And then, somewhere between them tussling for pace, they both crashed into each other. Both Serra and González Arrieta decided it was time to totally disengage from the race and engage in an actual fistfight. It was totally wild and unscripted. Eventually, the two were separated, but by then the damage was done to reputations and egos. And they even cupped a suspension while at it. To this day, it remains one of the most chaotic and unforgettable meltdowns ever witnessed mid-race. Mid-race fistfights are rare, but when a rider throws hands at someone not even in the race, that's when it becomes a legend. Number 4. ParisNice 1985. Bernard Hinault versus the fans. A champion, a protest, and a punch that stunned everyone. If cycling had an Ayrton Senna, it was Bernard Hinault. Hinault was tactically brilliant, fiercely competitive, brutally fast, ruthlessly dominant, and when he was on form, the peloton didn't stand a chance. But as with every legend of the sport, there was always a temper to match the trophies. And in ParisNice 1985, Hinault's temper got a full stage to itself. On 12th March 1984, the day began with Scottish rider Robert Millar in the overall lead. But on the descent of the Col de l'Espigulier in stage 5, Hinault attacks and puts on a move that takes him over 20 riders, including Millar. But as Hinault drives the rides on, he finds the road blocked by protesting workers and union staff from a nearby shipyard. Now most riders would slow down, maybe stop, but Hinault isn't like most riders, so he does this instead. Hinault barely brakes and deliberately plows into the banner-waving crowd, falling to the ground. But that wasn't all. In pure Hinault fashion, he gets up immediately, finds the nearest protester, and lashes out with his right fist. He connects, but only with the shoulder of his target. The struggle continues, and Hinault, in his cycling shoes, takes a wobble and gets off only with a warning.
So it was perhaps the opportunity to be able to win this ParisNice that I have, that I didn't have, that I lost because of them.
Although Hinault may have gotten away with just a warning, today, punching can earn you something way worse, like a ban for months. Number 5. Tour of Dubai 2017. Marcel Kittel versus Andrei Grivkov. It wasn't just a punch. It was a cheap shot to the face that drew blood, made headlines, and ended Marcel Kittel's race on the spot. Tour of Dubai 2017. Stage 3. Sandstorm winds, crossfire tension.
Astonishing conditions with drifts of sand blowing across the road. If it was snow, we'd call it a whiteout.
And a hit no one saw coming. Marcel Kittel came in red hot, having already won the first 2 stages. But during stage 3, while the peloton worked through the wind, Marcel would soon find himself also fighting for space. It's not exactly a new thing for cyclists to try hustling each other, sometimes with wheels, other times with little blockages. But Andrei Grivkov had other plans. And by plans, I mean he punched Kittel right in the face.
Kittel mysteriously suddenly had blood flowing from his forehead, and his gestures suggested what might have happened.
Maybe he was aiming for something else, or not, we'll never know. But what we do know is that Andrei Grivkov of Astana lands a punch right to Kittel's face. It was quick but brutal. It was a straight-up sucker punch mid-race. But perhaps the worst thing was that Kittel was actually seen bleeding all over his eyes. The team car rushed forward, and moments later, Kittel was forced to abandon the race. The footage made headlines within minutes. Afterward, Kittel didn't hold back, as he took to Twitter saying, "I won't accept an apology for this," he said. "That has nothing to do with cycling." And the UCI agreed. Grivkov was immediately disqualified and later slapped with a 45-day suspension. Some argued it wasn't enough. Others said he should have been banned for the season. But one thing is clear: if you punch someone in the face, you're not finishing that sprint. And if you think fists are bad, try headbutts at 70 kilometers per hour without a warning. Number 6. Mark Renshaw headbutts Julian Dean. Tour de France 2010, Stage 11. A high-speed sprint finish until it turned into a demolition derby. Mark Cavendish was chasing his third stage win, and leading him out was his trusted battering ram, Mark Renshaw. Next to him, Julian Dean of Garmin Transitions, trying to open a path for teammate Tyler Farrar. But Renshaw wasn't in the mood to negotiate. He was there to clear the road, with his head, literally.
Mark Renshaw kicks with the shoulder to shoulder towards the line.
In the blink of an eye, Renshaw drops his shoulder and delivers not one, not two, but 3 vicious headbutts straight into Dean's side. But it didn't stop there, because afterward, Renshaw swings across Farrar's path too, completely shutting him out. Cavendish goes on to win the stage, which should have been the highlight of the sprint, except the officials weren't impressed. Renshaw was disqualified from the tour on the spot.
Probably looks a little bit over the top for the person that doesn't know cycling, but you know, if I didn't use my head to hold myself upright and to keep the weight coming from the left to the right once Julian hit me, I think it would have resulted in a huge crash.
Sort of saying, even in the sprints, there are certain lines you don't cross, and headbutting is one of them. In a sport where every second counts, sometimes emotions run faster than legs. Got a cycling meltdown we missed? Drop it in the comments, we read every single one. And hey, if fists and headbutts got your heart racing, wait till you see the crashes. Not fights, not drama, just metal, carbon and bodies folding on impact. Click the video on the screen, the worst cycling crashes of the century. We'll see you there.